Good evening, YouTube, BookTube, all those who love literature, all those who read the Holy Bible, love the Lord Jesus Christ. This is Johnny. I thought I'd make a video. It is here in West Michigan. It is 6:59 in the evening. It is October the 20th. It is a Tuesday in the flow of existence here in the last days of the American Empire. I don't have my diary in front of me. I think I'm on page 992. I should hit page 1000 this week in my 2020 diary. In the morning, I've been reading the book of Judges. I ended on Judges. What chapter? I've been listening to Judges on the internet. You go to this site and somebody reads the Bible to you. So I sit there in front of my computer in the living room and I listen to someone read Judges to me. And I'm on Judge chapter 2, the book of Judges chapter 10 of Judges tomorrow morning. So yeah, today was kind of around the last 2 days. The landscapers have been here from in the mornings until late afternoons, and so there's been all kinds of noise, and so I haven't been able to focus really. Been writing in my diary, reading the Bible, and reading In Europe, Travels Through the 20th Century by Gert Mark. I can't pronounce his Dutch name. It's translated out of the Dutch. So I've been reading this, still reading Anthony Burgess' sermons on John 17 in the mornings, reading Judges. I got 2 books in the mail today. I told you I was getting some New York Review books, and I got 2 of them. I told you I was going to get the new reissue of William Gaddis's J.R. Introduction by Joy Williams. Joy Williams was as a writer. I have some of her novels down the lower level, and so I got the new issue of J.R. by William Gaddis. This is a modernistic classic. I had an old edition of J.R. I have this one. This is a beat up old paperback. This came out in 1975. And this one just was reissued, J.R. by William Gaddis. I told you that they're reissuing next month his famous novel Recognitions, which I've also pre-ordered. So I got that in the mail. Very pleased with that. I've had this for a number of years. And then this one came in the mail today. This is another New York Review Books Classic Original, Writing Politics, an Anthology by David Bromwich. It says here, David Bromwich is one of the most well-informed, cogent, morally uncompromising political writers on the left today. He is also one of our finest intellectual historians and literary critics. In Writing Politics, Bromwich presents 27 essays by different writers from the beginning of the modern political world into the 17th century into recent times. Essays that grapple with issues that continue to shape history: revolution and war, racism, women's rights, the status of the worker, the nature of citizenship, imperialism, violence and nonviolence among them, and essays that have also been chosen as superlative examples of the power of written English to reshape our thoughts in the world. Jonathan Swift, Edmund Burke, Henry David Thoreau, Harriet Taylor, Abraham Lincoln, George Eliot, W.E.B. Du Bois, Gandhi, Virginia Woolf, Martin Luther King, and Hannah Arendt are here among others, along with a wide-ranging introduction. So I read, got this today in the mail. Now I'm going to show you the thrift store books that my wife and I got last week. As we were out doing errands, my wife and I, we stopped at thrift stores and looked for used books. First I found these at Salvation Army, I think. Well, I just found them on thrift store. I just mentioned I found all these books at thrift stores, which means like Bibles from Mexico, Goodwill, Salvation Army, Humane Society, things like that. I found an old copy of James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake. As you all know, I collect anything by James Joyce, Finnegan's Wake, and if I see any editions of Ulysses or Finnegan's Wake or the Dubners or literary study or biography or anything on James Joyce or written by James Joyce, I buy this. And this is an old Viking edition, came out, like I said, in 1959, this edition. Then I found this little memoir called The Year of Goodbye by W. Levy. I never heard of this, but it's a memoir of what it was like for a Jew to live in Vienna right in 1938. It's like a memoir. It's that I think her mother left behind, writing what it was like when the Nazis came in and expelled the Jews from Vienna and all the horrible things that happened. The Year of Goodbye, A True Story of Friendship, Family, and Farewells by David Levy. Then I found Yosemite, I can't pronounce it. Yosemite, I can't pronounce it. By John Muir. Yosemite, I can't. Anyway, it's from John Muir. I already had this, but if I see anything by John Muir, Yosemite, I can't pronounce it. Anyway. Then I found this at Salvation Army. It's on the Salvation Army. It's somebody's dissertation. It's called The Theology of a Movement, the Salvation Army in its Formative Years. This is someone's dissertation for his PhD. I'm a student of American Christianity and Salvation Army, Methodism, Pentecostalism, Higher Life Movement, Charismatics, Pentecostals, Calvinists, New Lights, Old Lights. So I just got this because I liked reading about the beginning of Salvation Army and its formative years, by J. Rhemick, published in 1984 by the University Microphones International. So then I found Veronica by Mary Gaitskill. I had this, but I can't find my edition. This is a novel by Mary Gaitskill. I just showed you another novel. I collect her novels. And this, I found another copy of it. Then I collect these New York Public Library Collector's Edition. I have one on Madame Bouvier by Flaubert, and I found one, Heart of Darkness and the Secret Agent by Joseph Conrad. These New York Public Library Collector's Edition. They have little things in the beginning of them. There's a picture of Joseph Conrad. I collect Joseph Conrad. So I really like these little editions. I also found one on Theodore Dreiser, Sister Carrie, in the New York Public Library Collector's Edition. See, it has things in the beginning about the publication of Sister Carrie and things. I really like these. They're hardbacks. They're kind of nice editions. If I see them, I grab them. Then I found The End of History and the Last Man by Francis Fukuyama. This is a very famous book. I have another book of his downstairs. This came out in 1992, but it's all over the YouTube if you want to look into it. The End of History and the Last Man. And then I found The Duty, Honor, and Country, The History of West Point by Stephen E. Ambrose. I have several. He's an American historian. I have his book, Undaunted Courage, Meriwether Lewis, Thomas Jefferson, and the Opening of the American West. I have he's written a number of books. I have several downstairs in the lower level, but this is his History of the West Point. So I grabbed this for. I don't know the history of the West Point. I have a brother-in-law who was the athletic director at West Point for many, many years, just retired. And then I found this used book at a thrift store, Peace in Their Time, The Origins of the Kellogg Bryant Pack by Robert F. Farrell. The Kellogg Bryant Pact signed, I'm reading in the back here, signed on August the 27th, 1928, was an important landmark in the peace fever which swept the United States and Europe after World War I. Peace in Their Time is a highly readable account of events leading up to the signing of the pact and their implications for American diplomacy. After World War I, private peace groups proliferated and rapidly became a significant force in American politics. So just want to read about that. Then I found Nietzsche's little treatise, Twilight of the Idols. I collect Nietzsche. I found this little book on the Necropolis under the St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. It's like a book that you would buy as a tourist if you're visiting the Necropolis under the St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. I just like it because it has all these little photos and little history of the St. Peter's Basilica. So I like all the little things. You can sit there and just glance through it. And then I found David Foster Wallace's Everything and More, A Compact History of Infinity. I collect the writings of David Foster Wallace, and this is his little history of mathematicians and the history of the idea of infinity by David Foster Wallace. This is David Foster Wallace. We all know he wrote Infinite Jest. And then I found this book at a Goodwill, The Man Who Knew Infinity, The Life of the Genius of Ramanujan by Robert Kellig. This is a biography. I found out this book was made into a movie, and you can look at the trailer on YouTube, and there's little videos of him. He lived in 1913, a 25-year-old Indian clerk with no formal education, wrote a letter to G. H. Hardy, then widely acknowledged as the premier English mathematician of his time. I can't pronounce his name. Shavisha Ramanujan begged Harley opinions Regarding several ideas he had about numbers, hardly realized that the latter was a work of a genius. So anyway, I picked this up. Then I picked up a novel by Sebastian Faulks, A Possible Life, a novel in 5 parts. I collect his novels. I have 7 or 8 of his books down on the lower level. And then I picked up this and I found out I already had this novel, The Woman Who Lost Her Soul by Bob Sukach. I can't pronounce the name. I have another copy of this somewhere in the lower level. It's called A Masterpiece. Everybody that I collect, Susan Cheever, Robert Olin Butler, Stephen Burks, Scott Anderson, all highly recommend this. It looked really interesting. But I already have it somewhere in our lower level, which I can't find. And of course, I found this book at thrift stores last week and been reading this one. So those are the used book haul, books found at the thrift stores last week when my wife and I were running around. My wife got more books than I did. She must have bought at least 30 books last week. She buys all kinds of stuff, mysteries, Christian books, all kinds of stuff that I would never buy. So that's it here in my little book world. My wife is gone. She left yesterday to be with our daughter. She has her 4th child in Denver. So I'm all alone here with my thoughts, books. They finished almost doing the landscaping today. They're going to be here in the morning to reseed the lawn, and I don't plan to go anywhere this week. I'm just going to chill, read my books, write my diary, sit in silence, look at this book, Writing Politics Anthology by David Bromwich, edit it, and look at William Gaddis, Jr. Read the book of Judges in the Old Testament, the Old Covenant. Yeah, and the days will just go by. So I hope you had a good weekend, that you have a good new week. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the subscribers. Do pray that you're all doing well. And until next time, bye.